Naga community had, documented that these are our 4, 5, 6 demands on which there will be no negotiations. The Kuki community also decided doing that. But Meitei society,
I don't know how to write, but I know it symbolizes the body. Our car, the first consonant, the first letter is this. As you move down is the letter. And our letters 1 to 10 is nothing else but the shape of the embryo in the wall. So we had something. And we had something in us, that's why we were there, such an independent and such a fierce and such a martial race in the world. And so we can't be quiet when everything is burning. And with that we started this discussion. We wanted to know who we are. So this is part of the series of the trying to know who we are. And this is the third session. The first session was a panel discussion here. And the topic was Manipur Crisis, mess and security. Because in the beginning we didn't know
that we acknowledge what we face today is a tragedy. So many people dead, so many people homeless, and I think I will speak on that behalf. And I will also start with what our moderator has begun with, the idea of identity, because I think this is important, and this will be a bit of a spanner in the argument, in the sense that what exactly is identity? I think this is something that we have to understand, and also be humble, and I will say why. In fact, this is something which has been discussed so many times,
Banita, thank you very much for inviting me. I see very familiar faces here, very friends. Mr. Amanda is here, then already all my friends here, and of course, respected panelists. In the next 15 to 17 minutes, I intend talking about how do we go forward from here. Okay. Okay. How do we go from here? Before that, I would like to just give a little perspective over the conflict. Whenever there is an imbalance, when there is an imbalance on the earth, there is an earthquake. And then it destroys civilizations, destroys cities, villages. And ethnic conflict in particular is because of certain imbalances as well as perceived imbalances. And normally,
Jari to all of you. It's such an honor to be sharing the dais with such esteemed senior people from Manipur. Although it is at a somber note, I would have ideally expected this discussion to happen at a much more enthusiastic mode. But I, among all people, never imagined that things would come to this level, and the first interaction that I would get to speak at a Manipuri platform would be at such a sad event. So my condolences to all the grieving families back in Manipur. I have worked in the state for the past 6-7 years until 2022, wherein I thought that Manipur is developing at rocket speed and everything is so good. There is very little that I can contribute further. Then I decided to go back to learning and go back to think tank related activities, and I stepped out of Manipur 1 year back. And today we are again going back and debating and discussing some of the issues which we thought we had left long back behind us. I remember in 2016 when I was, for the first time I stepped on the soil of Manipur. I had been working in the state of Assam for like good 2-3 years, and I understood that Assam is complex, but the complexity of Manipur really shook me. At that time, I remember the MLR Act related protests were happening on the streets. It wasn't a resolved issue back then. that debates were still happening. Among those debates, one of the debate was around the ILP movement. In a very big way, this movement was going on. The ST demand was not even being articulated. That wasn't a demand as such. But we were seeing that even when the chief minister, the former chief minister, he was going into Ukhrul, some of the organizations, insurgent organizations in Ukhrul attacked him, fired him on the helicopter. His helicopter could barely land. It was evacuated. He was evacuated from Ukhrul and he was taken back to his father. This was Shri Bobiji, who was the then chief minister. So, among all of this that was happening in the state, I reached Manipur and I tried to understand more about the society, more about the problems of the region, so that, as an Indian citizen, it is my responsibility. Manipur is a part of our country. We should all know about the state in its fine details. One thing that I realized was that the complexity of Manipur is like the complexity of India, all compressed into a very small geography. That's the level of complexity that I realized, and it was very cumbersome. When I was started living there, I was living in one building in Hangar Bazaar, that's the place that I could get, just to research about the state. Nobody from outside, from the other parts of the country were actually coming in and investing that much time. Therefore, the finer understanding of the state was missing in the larger narrative, countrywide. And therefore, my early years in Manipur was all about learning. I still believe that I don't know much, especially with all of you knowing far, far more about the states, but I will try and, elucidate certain points which I feel, as an outsider, I felt about the state, and I would want to hear your opinions on that. First thing that I realized is that Manipur society is generally entangled in a zero-sum problem. Zero-sum problem means that anything you do with one community, one part of the community, is seen at the cost of other communities. So you bring another solution, it will be seen as at the cost of Meiteis or at the cost of cookies. You try and initiate talks with cookies through a Sioux arrangement. Then the Nagas would be like, we are not party to that, you should also make us a party, otherwise we will revolt against it. So any outreach from the central government that was happening was largely seen in this zero-sum problem. Zero-sum means plus something minus something is negative zero. So the society wasn't moving forward because of these problem statements, and on top of that, lack of articulation. And this is one challenge which I felt on all the protracted troubles. Naga community had, documented that these are our 4, 5, 6 demands on which there will be no negotiations. The Kuki community also decided doing that. But Meitei society wasn't even sure about what they are asking for. How do you enter into a negotiation when you don't even know what your principal demands are? What are the principal demands? I'm asking you today, is ST a principal demand? I don't know. Because that articulation is still not coming from the community. You went with a solution on ILP. There was so much bloodshed and protests, massive protests around ILP. Today you have ILP, still you are in the same problem. You were fighting for ILP so that you don't have to face this day, right? Where there are communal clashes. You wanted to protect your land, you wanted to protect your people. And this is why you fought for ILP, but then it was given, but you are still at the same place. So this means your demand wasn't correct in the first place. So that articulation requires a lot of brainstorming. Mobs cannot do justice on crafting demands. Mobs have their way of dealing with situation. You need intellectuals like them, give them the due respect to be able to at least come out with issues. And once those issues are articulated, these issues have to be communicated to the other community. The other communities at this stage, they don't know exactly what you're asking for. There are insecurities on all the aspects. You should understand their insecurities, they should understand your insecurities, and try to find a common ground. That out of a list of 6 things, we can perhaps work on 3 of those things. So that is perhaps a smart approach of dealing with the problems that are there. Otherwise, I can tell you today, Kuki people have insecurities about Meitei community. Similarly, my brethren on the